Time now for the school report. Today we welcome Lynn Halverson to the studio, the superintendent of the Blair-Taylor School District, brought to you by Poppy Bus Service. The school report starts right now.
That's right, everybody. It's Friday, and I know it's the middle of summer, so you're not thinking about school, but we're going to talk a little bit about school with Lynn Halverson. Good morning, Lynn.
Good morning, Brian.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's a Friday, and Fridays always feel good. So.
Yeah, yes, they do. And there's a lot of summer happenings, I'm sure, at school already.
Yeah, at Blair-Taylor, obviously things don't really slow down a whole lot during the summertime. You're planning for the following school year. Obviously, administration is still in the building. The cleaning crews are up and down the hallways in each and every room. Every room that has carpeting, it's getting shampooed. The tile is all being waxed. Other things that we had happen this summer would be I think it was July 2nd and 3rd, we had the blacktop resealed, so it looks nice and crisp and black again, and then new lines put down. The plus is that by the football stadium, that all got resealed as well. So It kind of brings the entire campus together and makes it look nice and crisp again.
Yeah, no kidding. And I know some schools have been having some staffing issues, but you guys are currently fully staffed, huh?
Yeah, we are fully staffed for the 25-26 school year, and I think a big piece of that would be the fact that we're able to make some steps in the right direction as far as not being competitive, but being more in line with neighboring districts. We're not having staff leave due to a dollar sign. So that's something to really celebrate. Yeah. And actually just, I think it was yesterday, I got a phone call from La Crosse Tribune and Winona Daily News just wondering where we were at with staffing, said that she had looked at our website and said that there was no openings and wanted to make sure that was accurate.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it is accurate. So we're very excited about that. And we've got a great staff coming.
That's great. And I'm sure they are already thinking about getting back to school because we're kind of that midpoint of summer. And
even though it's summer, there's still teachers popping in and out on a regular basis. So
yeah. So you want to talk a little bit about your 2025-27 biannual budget?
Yeah, on July 3rd, Governor Evers did sign into law the 25 through 27 biennial budget.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if Paul Francois, was he on last week? It was 4th of July.
No, because we had 4th of July.
So I think I'm the first superintendent to talk since that has been signed. I just want to talk a little bit about, the impact of that 25-27 budget on public education. And first of all, I guess, when you look at your budget as a school district, you get it from two primary sources. You get it from your local taxpayer, and then you get it through equalization aid. So, and then you've got a revenue cap on top of that. So the cap stays the same. But if you get more equalization aid, then the local taxpayer has to pay less.
Okay.
What goes into the equalization aid factor would be your enrollment in your school district, your spending the previous school year, and what is that shared cost. So if you spend more money, you get more money toward that shared cost. Therefore, that's less money the following year that the taxpayer has to pay because it's an increase in that equalization aid. Your property value of your district, and then that's all divvied out based upon the pot of money that's going to the schools.
Yeah.
But for the 25 through 27 biennial budget, there was an increase in the revenue limit of $325 per pupil for each of those 2 years. And a lot of our area school districts, Blair-Taylor included, is at that low ceiling, so we're at that bottom end. And we've talked many times before how schools are funded differently per pupil. And then you've got the general equalization aid within the 25-27 biennial budget, and there is zero increase in that equalization aid, so that pot stays the same.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that each district will or won't get a little bit more or less of equalization aid because it's also based upon that previous spending, property values if it went up or down. So the pot did not change, no increase to equalization aid, but different school districts may get more or less.
Okay.
And when you break it down, DPI has to give July 1 preliminary estimates on school aid. That's not finalized until October 15th.
Okay.
So every superintendent across the state is looking at what is that preliminary figure, and then you can do some scenarios and budget planning. But it's not until October 15 or when it's finalized that you really know what you're working with.
Okay.
And then you got to turn around a week week or two later and have your annual meetings
Yep.
and set your budget. But with equalization aid, even though the pot didn't change, 135 districts preliminarily have an increase.
Okay.
277 have a decrease, and 9 school districts had zero change.
Okay.
So what that means is that for 277 districts, theoretically, the local taxpayer is going to have to pick up more of that bill,
Yep.
if that makes sense.
Yep.
Another big factor with the budget would be special education aid. The 24-25 school year, it was reimbursed at 30.6%, but it's projected to be at 42% during the 25-26 school year and 45%. So that's a little over a 10% increase, which is a major step in the right direction.
Yeah.
But when you factor in that additional funding for the special education aid, and then you factor in the equalization aid, you're not really making any gains.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, you're taking a step backwards as far as overall funding.
Okay.
But then another thing too is that there's what's called sum sufficient. So that's something that school advocates were advocating for. If you're going to say it's going to be 42% reimbursement rate, guarantee of 42%, meaning that pot could fluctuate depending upon cost.
Yeah.
But it is not sum sufficient. Therefore, when that pot of money is gone and districts get reimbursed 40%, not 42%, well, you get 40%, not the 42%, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Other factors would be, with that special education aid, whatever's not covered by the reimbursement, that's something that districts need to pick up. Initial calculations for Blair-Taylor, with that increase in special education aid, that'll save the district about $200,000 or $100,000.
Okay.
Repeat, $100,000, not $200,000. So that's a major step in the right direction overall. But like I said before, when you look at the big picture, the increase, for the local taxpayer, it does drive the mill rate up. It does put a little bit more of that bill on the local taxpayer. In the end, overall budget for schools with this 25-27 biennial budget didn't really do a whole lot of favors aside from the special education aid. So our hope in education was that we were going to be able to decrease the need for operational referendums, but I don't really see that happening with this budget.
Okay.
In the end, school districts are going to have to continue to rely on their local taxpayer through operational referendums to maintain current offerings for students is what it comes down to.
Yep, and for all the things we pay taxes on, the schools are one thing we see that result from. So I know no one likes their taxes going up a little bit, but I think in this case it's well worth it.
It's definitely investing in our future, and it's money well spent.
Yeah. So what about federal funding? Is there anything? Is that still currently frozen? It sounds like.
Everything to my knowledge is that the federal funding is still frozen. That does have extremely high impact on many of our local school districts. If you look at Blair-Taylor alone, and this not including all of the grants that we've received, but you're looking at $141,000 that's kind of sitting in limbo right now.
Okay.
One of which, the big one, would be the CCLC grant. That would be our before school care, after school care grant.
Okay.
That allows us to provide the staffing and the resources to bring kids in before school and allow them to stay a little while after school. It has high impact because it does increase attendance rates for our students. It increases academic engagement. So there's all kinds of positives that come with it.
Yeah.
And 3 of our 4 school districts within the TVC have a before school and after school care program.
Okay.
Therefore, if that funding is taken away, that's a major positive for our parents. To be able to drop off a little bit early with work schedules, and everyone is extremely busy. So we're hoping that that federal funding does come through. And then there's some other grants that Blair-Taylor has that it would impact, and in the end, it's potentially up to $300,000.
Okay.
So that federal funding freeze has a lot of school districts a little bit worried, or a
Yeah.
lot worried, I should say, because in the end, we're planning to offer all of these things, and if the money's not there, we're going to have to shift and pivot real quick.
Yeah.
And we'll end up having some parents that don't really appreciate that, but there's a why behind it, and so.
Yeah. Yeah, and so there's no word on. I mean, it's just a freeze. We're just waiting on the word from to see what happens there.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and when that before school and after school, that is great for parents too, because most households, both parents are working in the household, or some of them are single, and the cost of daycare and stuff it gets to be pretty expensive, especially if it's for short periods of times. It's tough to get into. So
it does.
So let's hope for that spending to come around.
I'm sure. I'll keep my fingers crossed for sure.
Yeah. So, well, you guys are going to be getting back to school pretty quick. When's your first day back? I know it's only July, but
It's only July, but when I'm at school, we've got volleyball camps, we've got summer league basketball, both boys and girls. So, and that just makes me think, okay, in another 3 weeks, we're going to be looking at football starting, volleyball starting. Once the fall sports season starts, it's kind of like the school year started.
Yep.
But our first day of school would be August 27th. That's our orientation day. And then the 28th and 29th is a transition day. But yeah, we're going to blink and it's going to be here. And at school, we've got a lot of stuff to get done in between now and then.
Oh, I bet.
But I always look forward to the following school year, seeing the staff come back, batteries fully charged and ready to go. So.
Yeah, that's like you said, it's gonna be no time. We were talking about this earlier around here, that once you hit July 4th, it's like, okay, you're halfway through summer and it's gonna be over in no time. And
yep, exactly.
We're about that time. So, well, is there anything else you want to cover before we get going today?
I think that pretty much covers it.
Yeah, I think you did a good job of explaining it all to people so they can understand and digest it all and see where the benefits and the problems that it might bring about if we don't get that funding.
Yeah, and the school funding it's an extremely confusing topic, and so hopefully I did a little bit of justice with explaining it today. So
I think you did. Well, thank you so much. We've been talking with Lynn Halverson here. We're going to get back into the music right after this short break.
There are better-known tractors in the world than Coyote. Ones with bigger names, longer histories, more popular hats.